Hello everybody. So today we're going to jump into section 3 of our finance unit. So let's go ahead and get started. So in the last two sections we took a look at interest that was working in your favor, as in the interest that we were getting was on investments that we were making. So the interest we got went into our pocket. But that's not always going to be the case, and the primary example of that are loans. So people take loans out for all kinds of things. Probably the most common type of loan is credit card loan or credit card debt. Anytime you spend money using a credit card, effectively what you're doing is you're taking out a loan from the card issuer or the bank. Some other less common ones, we call it consumer credit. So, if you're watching TV and you see things like, if you see a commercial for the brick, they always say, don't pay until 2025, no money down, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Um, you're deferring your payments to a later date, and they usually charge you some sort of finance fee for doing that. Some other common ones, mortgages. Mortgage is a very large loan that people take out to pay for houses or property. We're going to talk a little bit more about mortgages later in this unit. And then another kind of loan that you all might be considering in the near future are student loans, which of course are used to pay for post-secondary tuition. So with all of these loans, whoever's giving you the loan, which is pretty much always a bank, they'll give you the amount of money you're looking for, which is your principal value, whatever money you want, and then they'll charge you a little bit extra in interest. Okay. So of course, anytime you take out a loan to pay for something, at the end of the loan, you will pretty much always be paying more for whatever it is you're buying than if you would have just purchased it outright. Of course, it's not reasonable for large purchases to be made all at once. Of course, you make payments slowly over time so that you can afford whatever it is you're looking to buy. Okay. But of course, when you do this, you have to be very careful. The last thing you want to do is to go out and purchase something that you can't feasibly repay or that you can't afford, right? This is how people get in a lot of trouble with banks, particularly with credit cards, right? They buy things because there's a pretty high limit usually on credit cards. They buy a bunch of stuff and then they're unable to pay the money back, right? So it is a good idea to get a credit card when you're old enough, and you should use it to buy things because when you purchase things and then you pay your credit card bill, what you're doing is what we call building your credit. And when we say building your credit, that essentially means you are convincing other people, usually a bank or anybody else that's going to give you a loan, that you're able to repay whatever it is you're borrowing. So if you're being reasonable and using your credit card to buy things, and then you're paying your credit card bill on time, the bank sees that you're able to pay back the purchases you make, so they're more likely to lend you more money in the future, right? If you can't make your payments, then you get into a lot of trouble. You can get more fees, and you can even be sued if you don't make your payments on time for enough time. Okay. Uh, Primarily, we're going to be using the TVM solver to deal with these sorts of loan problems. So we can take a look at an example here from the book. So it says Thomas Cruiser borrows $7,500 from a bank to buy a used car. The bank that's giving him the loan is charging him 8.25% interest per year, compounded monthly. Okay, right there. So that's 12 compounding periods in the year. If Thomas makes $175 monthly payments at the end of each month for 4 years, how much of the loan does he have left to repay? Why would this type of loan be considered an annuity? So if you remember, an annuity is when we make consistent equal payments to something. In this case, Thomas is making an annuity to repay his loan, right? He's paying $175 back every month. So why would this be a type? Why would this loan be considered a type of annuity? He is making regular equal payments every month. So we'd call that an annuity. Okay, so let's take a look. So here's our TVM solver. Again, the one I showed you online looks a little bit different, but at its core, it's still the same. So complete the following to answer the question in the scenario using the TVM solver. So up here we have n, which is our number of periods. So explain why the entry for n is 4 times 12 equals 48. So you can see here 48 was entered into the solver. So the reason for that is, remember, periods, the period field, or the n value, is the total number of compounding periods over the course of the whole loan. So if you go back to the question, remember, this is a 4-year loan that's being compounded every month. Okay, so this 4 comes from the 4 years, and there's 12 periods in each of those 4 years. So 4 times 12 gives us 48 total periods over the course of the entire loan. Okay, that's of course the interest percent right here. From the question, that was 8.25. Pretty straightforward. What is the PMT value? And what is the PV value, and why is it positive? So the PV value, remember, that's the present value or just the principal value. So in the case of a loan, that's how much money you are taking out for a loan. So this was a $7,500 loan that Thomas was taking out for his car. So in this case, the present value is going to be 7,500. And why is it positive this time? You notice that it's not negative. It's positive this time because the loan is being given to Thomas from the bank. That money is going into his pocket, right? So it's a positive value. Next one, what is the PMT value and why is it negative? So this payment now is the payment that he's making to repay the loan. All right, so from the question, it was $175 that he was paying back to the loan every month. That was his annuity. Okay, and this one is negative because now that money is leaving his pocket to go to pay off that loan. Okay, the payments per year and the compounding periods per year, those are both 12, right? As we talked about, it's being compounded monthly, right? So that's why CY is 12. Compounding periods per year is 12 because it's compounded every month. There's 12 of those in the year. And payments per year, from the question, it was said that he is making $175 payments in monthly installments. Okay, so again, the compounding periods and the payment, the compounding periods per year and the amount of payments per year are equal in this case because the loan is compounded monthly and Thomas is also making monthly payments to repay the loan. Okay, and he's making the payments at the end of each month, so we leave the payment function as end. So we go in and we go to the final value. and we tell the solver to calculate it, and it gives us this big number here. Well, it's not a big number, but it's a long number. So we get that amount for the final value, which is what Thomas still owes the bank after the 4-year loan. Okay, so of course we round this to 2 decimal places. So he's still going to own, because the number is negative, or owe, sorry, not own. He's going to owe the bank this amount of money because it is a negative value. So he's going to owe the bank $508.53. Okay. So it says here, adjust the TVM solver so that Thomas pays off the loan. How many months does it take for Thomas to pay off the entire loan? Okay, so we can hop over here to the TVM solver. Okay, so what we're going to do now, so for the present value, it's going to remain at 7,500. Okay, and the payments are going to remain at negative 175. The compounding period is monthly by default here. The total number of periods is what we're actually going to solve for. Okay, so the annual interest rate remains at 8.25, so it doesn't change. But the adjustment that we're going to do now to see how long it's going to take Thomas to pay off the loan is we're going to make the future value 0. Okay, because the future value, if it's 0, that means he's paid off his loan. He owes $0 to the bank. Okay. So we can go in, boom, hit periods, and we get 50.95. And because it's monthly, that is how many months. It's not letting me scroll here. There we go. Adjust the TVM solver so that Thomas pays off the loan. How many months does it take? So we can round that up to the nearest month, as it says here. So we get 51 months. It's going to take him to pay off the entire loan if he continues to pay $175. Okay. And the question here, what was the final amount paid for the $7,500 car? Well, we can take a look here. So he paid off. Oh, sorry, that's not what I'm saying. So if it's going to take him 51 months, and he's making $125 per month payments,